Amid the chaos at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, where nearly 400 law enforcement responded to a deadly school shooting last May, CNN has learned commands by a high-ranking state police officer may have contributed to the broader failed response that day. While a gunman sat in a room full of dead, dying, and traumatized children, new police radio transmissions obtained by CNN show Texas Department of Public Safety Captain Joel Betancourt given an order to stop police from entering the classroom. And one internal memo describes him before he arrives telling officers to stay away from the school and remain on the perimeter during the initial response to the shooting. Captain Betancourt was one of 91 DPS officers on scene in Uvalde. We are now learning he is one of the 7 referred for further investigation over his actions. After lionizing the police response in the initial days, the Texas governor and state officials have pushed the blame for what has since been acknowledged as a failure on the local and school police. But CNN has now reviewed memos written just 2 days after the shooting that detail actions by the DPS that allegedly went against protocol for mass shootings. One lieutenant wrote, "I heard someone shout out Captain Betancourt said all DPS personnel need to be on perimeter. Do not enter the building." And a sergeant reported he knew this was clearly against established training, and so he entered the school anyway. By the time Betancourt says he arrived outside Robb Elementary, students and teachers had already been trapped for more than an hour.
Supposedly one kid called that he was in there with him. We don't know if he has anybody in the room with him, do we? I think he does. He does. 8 or 9 children.
Some at the scene, like this Border Patrol medic, are aware of the urgency inside the classroom.
No, we hadn't heard that. No, we're in the 4s, right? This is building 4s.
Anybody hurt?
No, not here. No, sir.
Yes, there are.
Here?
Yeah. EMS in there already?
No, sir. We have a shooter still in there.
Yeah.
He's in here.
He's in here. Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand right here. Be ready.
The last contact. Hey, hold on. Last contact we had was one of our school PD officers. His wife is a teacher. She called him saying she's dying.
They just had a kid in room 12. Yeah, they had a kid in room 12. Multiple victims. Room 12.
A Border Patrol tactical unit is preparing to end the standoff and storm the classroom.
Yes, making breach. Come in.
In a move that sources tell CNN has shocked people inside DPS, Betancourt picked up his radio and tried to stop the breach.
Hey, this is DPS Captain Bedford. You guys gonna make breach? Need to stand by. The team that's gonna breach needs to stand by.
The transmission can be clearly heard on several body-worn cameras inside and outside the hallway of Robb Elementary. The tactical unit was already making entry.
Subject down, subject down.
Kids!
The shooter is killed and a devastating scene is revealed inside the classroom. In an interview with investigators that has been detailed to CNN, Betancourt said he did not know there were any children in the building until after the breach. That's despite 911 calls from children inside the room. Betancourt says he was relying on information from Uvalde Sheriff Ruben Alasko that the gunman was a barricaded subject and no longer an active shooter, and that a better SWAT team was on its way. He admits he never spoke to former school police chief Pete Arredondo, who has been labeled the on-scene commander, until after the shooter was killed. The memo referencing Betancourt's actions and another corroborating it are some of the clearest evidence that questions are being raised internally at the Department of Public Safety about the actions of its officers. His orders over the radio contradict the official narrative that the state police were never in command of the scene and never issued substantive orders. When questioned by CNN in September, DPS Director Colonel Steve McCraw confirmed the investigation into Betancourt and promised to resign if his agency was shown to have culpability for the botched response.
Was there a body cam? There's apparently footage of him inside the hallway telling people not to breach that door. Have you heard that?
I've heard a lot of things. Okay,
but is there any credibility?
I don't know if there is or not. But that's one of the reasons why we're doing the investigation. Okay.
No, I know.
So,
Listen.
And we're going to be thorough.
And let me just explain something to you. I don't want to do this.
I'll be the first to resign. Okay. I'll be gladly resign or tender my resignation to the governor. Okay. If I think there's any culpability on the Department of Public Safety. Period. Okay. But we're going to hold our officers accountable. No one gets a pass, but every officer is going to be held accountable in that regard.
But you are looking at this Captain Bellicourt for information that you have that he may have told officers not to go in the hallway.
Yes, absolutely.
How is Betancourt responding to
So
it?
he hasn't, Anderson. This is something we've been working on for quite some time. We had heard information from sources inside DPS who were really alarmed and concerned over the fact that Betancourt would give this order over the radio without having a full account of what happened.
Just to be clear, he was giving an order to the tactical team, which was finally assembled to move in. This is after 70
at the
minutes.
77-minute mark.
Right. So he was telling that team, had finally assembled, which are the ones who actually finally stopped this.
That's right. He claims he didn't know that was the team, that was this BORTAC team. He was concerned that they weren't experienced enough, and that is why. He also has said that, well, one of the things that went into his thinking was he was told this was a barricaded subject. At no time did he hear that this was an active shooter. However, there are those 911 calls from a child inside that classroom that is clearly heard on police radio. It's being broadcast saying that there are kids inside the room. Why he didn't hear this, why this information was not relayed to other DPS officials is certainly raising a lot of concerns.